And then that little moment, Lydia reaching over to hold Melanie.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like tenderness at first, right?
But there's no dialogue and no actual reconciliation. It's not affection, it's desperation.
Exactly. Class under siege will always close ranks, even with people it was ready to cast out 5 minutes earlier.
The tragedy is, it's always too late. You can't board up history with a few nails.
This is the Marxists at the Movies podcast.
Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name.
Welcome back, comrades, to Marxists at the Movies. I'm Edward Michael Francis.
And I'm also Edward Michael Francis.
Today, we're just a couple of icy, cool blondes heading up to Northern California to chase some rando.
Wait, I thought we were the icy cool blonde who finds out her boyfriend is a total creepo spying on his neighbors.
Either way, Hitchcock's got us pigeonholed, right?
That's fair.
And tonight's episode is titled The Birds from 1963, Nature's Revolt.
Full article is up on Patreon, and Satan willing, you've already checked out our website, but we'll save the full plug for later.
And as always, Cinemarch Media is loud and proud about using generative AI in our production.
Totally.
That's not replacement, it's resistance. Tools like this help marginalized and disabled creators like us kick open gates that capitalism tried to weld shut.
And finally, Myron Rosander Francis is here, our resident feline revolutionary.
Yay!
They've already declared themselves chair of the Feather Vanguard, which feels dangerously on topic.
Cue the sting. Word about spoilers, folks.
Listen up.
Spoiler warnings are capitalist bird shit, created to keep art locked in a cage. So if you don't vibe with that, this ain't your space.
Also, a brief trigger warning, as we will be discussing Hitchcock's alleged attempts to assault one of the stars of this film.
Yeah, it's pretty icky, and we just wanted to give everyone fair warning. Thanks for your attention.
The Birds is built as a story without resolution.
And that choice haunted us from the very first watch.
That first watch was, of course, on Fox 32 Chicago's late-night movie slot. Perched on a bed upstairs while the news droned from the big TV downstairs, the sense of unease hit before we even had the words for it.
What stands out is how unresolved it feels. In most films like this, the so-called good guys win or the danger evaporates. But Hitchcock doesn't give us that. He leaves only silence, heavy and unsettled.
And that silence lingered. It carried into a senior year film elective where The Birds landed on the syllabus. One of those rare moments when school actually gave us something worth analyzing.
We adored this class, and yes, considering our career trajectory nowadays, it was almost prophetic that we fell into it almost by accident.
That's right. We needed another elective to fill out our schedule and picked that one, almost at random.
If memory serves, this class also introduced us to another Hitchcock barn burner, Shadow of a Doubt.
Yes! Now the Merry Widow Waltz is going to be stuck in my head until next Tuesday.
Theories filled the classroom about why the story in The Birds unfolds the way it does. Yet, none of them really landed.
But years later, though, when Marxists at the Movies began taking shape, this was one of the first titles that came to mind.
Because what finally clicked was that this isn't horror. It's revolution.
Right.
And not the tidy man versus nature kind. Hitchcock shows us something more insidious and far more political.
Before we dive too deep into the plot, we have to talk about the creepiest bird of all, Hitchcock himself.
Right? Because the terror wasn't just on screen.
Oh, no.
He built it into the set and into the way he treated people. Especially Tippi Hedren.
Girl. He basically isolated her, controlled her career, and turned the production into his own personal punishment chamber.
The attic scene says it all.
Ugh.
She was told it would be mechanical birds. Instead, for 5 straight days, Prop men in leather gloves hurled live gulls and crows at her.
With their beaks clamped shut, no less. Like, that's not directing, that's cruelty with a clapperboard.
And then he escalated it.
What?
Live birds tied to her costume with elastic so she couldn't get away.
Yeesh.
One bird's claw came so close to her eye, she thought she'd lose it.
Until she just collapsed, whispered, "I'm done," and had to be carried off set.
Somebody call PETA.
PETA? How about Amnesty International?
Her doctor finally stepped in, told Hitchcock to stop, and asked him if he was trying to kill her.
And Hitchcock, master of empathy that he was, says, "We have nothing else to shoot but her."
That line chills me more than any scene in the film.
It does.
Because it wasn't an aberration.
Nope.
That was his whole philosophy.
He called it authenticity, but it was just sadism, dressed up as genius.
And here's the kicker. A film about revolt, resistance, and the futility of control was itself made under total control so suffocating it broke its star.
So, yeah, the birds might have been scary, but the sickest crow on that set was Hitchcock himself.
Now, beyond Hitchcock's obsession with torturing pretty blonde women,
Creep.
the production itself really was a technical masterpiece for the time.
Yeah, because they used everything. Real trained gulls, ravens, sparrows, flying around set alongside mechanical rigs and puppets.
And the sound wasn't natural either.
Correct.
Those piercing shrieks were built on the tritonium.
Oh, yeah?
This early electronic synthesizer that gave the whole soundtrack that uncanny edge.
Bernard Herrmann, Hitchcock's usual composer, didn't write a single note of score here. Instead, he was a sound consultant, pushing Hitchcock to lean into silence and use noise like music.
So the wing beats and screams become the score. A dissonant symphony that feels like it's clawing at your ears.
And the visuals were just as radical.
Oh?
Hitchcock's team, working with UB Iwerks from Disney, pioneered new matte and composite techniques.
Right, the sodium vapor process. That's how they layered actors with hundreds of bird elements in the same frame. It looks like total chaos, but it was all assembled frame by frame.
Same with the gas station explosion. On screen, it's pure anarchy. In reality, it was a carefully staged practical effect built to mimic collapse.
That's the contradiction, isn't it? When it came to effects, Hitchcock demanded meticulous artifice. But with Hedren, he wanted authenticity at any cost, even if it meant cruelty. Let's get into the plot.
Okay.
The setup is pure absurdity. Melanie Daniels, played by Tippi Hedren, decides the best way to flirt is to chase Mitch Brenner all the way to Bodega Bay with a pair of lovebirds.
Yeah, nothing says romance like, "Hi, stranger, I bought you livestock." But she doesn't just show up. She plants herself right in the middle of Mitch's family soap opera.
And as soon as she does, the world tips. Birds gather, first one, then a few, then swarms.
Zero explanation. They just attack.
The result is collapse. Communication breaks down, the authorities vanish into uselessness, and all that bourgeois polish disintegrates.
The house becomes a bunker, and every door feels like a trap. And Hitchcock, let's be real, he isn't interested in airtight plotting.
No, he wants archetypes, little chess pieces he can move around.
And every one of them is a slice of the bourgeois order.
Tell me more.
Melanie is decadence made flesh. Stylish, rootless, dripping wealth. She waltzes into town in that suit the color of a dollar bill.
Capital without production. She's ornamental leisure, and her presence becomes the spark that sets nature off.
Then there's Mitch, played by the ever iron-jawed Rod Taylor as the liberal bourgeois man. Charming, educated, convinced that the law, the home, and his masculinity will save them.
And he fails. His fortress cracks, and his confidence in the system evaporates.
Lydia, his mother, portrayed by screen legend Jessica Tandy, is the reactionary type. Terrified of change, clinging to domestic purity, and paranoid that Melanie is corrupting her little bubble.
Her fragility becomes the rot that makes collapse inevitable.
And don't think we all don't notice the complete and total Oedipus of it all.
For sure. Mitch doesn't just live with his mother, he lives through her.
Ew.
Every relationship he has gets filtered through Lydia's approval.
It's like he can't decide if he wants a girlfriend or a second mom.
Yeah.
And Lydia is happy to blur the line as long as she keeps control.
Which makes Melanie less of a partner and more of a replacement candidate. She's being vetted for the maternal role, not chosen for herself.
And that's classic Hitchcock, right?
Sadly.
Dress it up as romance, but underneath it's possession and repression all tangled together.
Exactly. It's not just creepy, it's another crack in the bourgeois fantasy of family.
Yep.
When the lines between lover, mother, and property collapse, you know the whole structure is already rotting.
And Kathy, played by Veronica Cartwright in her film debut, absorbs it all. She's the wide-eyed future, inheriting fear and paranoia. School attack, birthday attack, her innocence is shredded on camera.
Put them all together, and you've got 3 generations of women under one roof. Mother, daughter, child. That's the social order under siege.
And then Annie, the ex, depicted by the oft-glamorous Suzanne Plachette.
Diva.
She's the emotional laborer, the one who gave up everything just to orbit Mitch.
Of course, she's the first major casualty in a death scene that had to leave the censors of the time reaching for their Alka-Seltzer.
So the birds don't just claw at people. They rip straight through class, gender, and family. The real violence is what happens when the bourgeois mask slips. Now, here's the million-dollar question.
Which is?
Why birds?
I don't know, Regis. Can I phone a friend?
Hilarious. The truth is, birds weren't chosen at random. Hitchcock could have gone with wolves in the woods or even snakes on a plane.
Topical.
But he picked birds. And that choice is loaded.
Because birds are supposed to be harmless, even beautiful.
Exactly.
They're symbols of freedom and grace, perched in poems, pinned on hats, kept in cages for decoration.
They've been domesticated into ornaments, just like women under patriarchy.
And Hitchcock, being British, knew the slang.
Oh, yes, he did.
Bird was shorthand for a woman, usually dismissed as frivolous or decorative. That double meaning is baked right into the title.
And the lovebirds she drags along carry the same contradiction.
Indeed.
They look like bourgeois decor. Docile pets to brighten a home.
But Hitchcock slips in a tell.
That's right.
There's that shot in the car where the lovebirds keep their flight path steady, even in motion.
Didn't think of that.
Behind bars or not, nature resists domestication.
Which turns them into little revolutionaries in disguise.
Quite right.
Capitalism's attempt to pacify the wild already failing.
So what do the birds represent? Hitchcock never says outright, but the film won't stop nudging. This is a movie about something both social and historical.
We'll be right back.
Each flickers with a revolutionary beam. The heroes rise from the factory floor, challenging the scripts and demanding more.
Welcome back. Let's discuss Hitchcock's favorite kink, symbolism. One of the most haunting motifs in The Birds is glass breaking.
Yes.
It's everywhere.
Well, glass is capitalism's favorite trick, right?
Correct.
Invisible barriers that look solid until tested.
And Hitchcock loves shattering it. At the Brenner home, the living room windows explode inward as wings batter through. The supposed sanctuary splinters in seconds.
Then there's the phone booth. Melanie locks herself inside, thinking it'll keep her safe, and it turns into a transparent coffin.
Creepy.
Birds slam against it until it feels like the whole modern world is cracking with her.
Each break is a reminder. No matter how polished or carefully framed, Glass cannot withstand a collective assault.
Real.
Safety under capitalism is precarious at best.
And it's not just glass that gives way.
Nope.
The whole town collapses. As the birds close in, capital flees.
Right.
Bodega Bay turns into a ghost town.
But before flight comes denial.
Oh, yeah.
People rationalize, minimize, explain away. Even when the attacks escalate, they cling to normalcy.
That diner scene, brutal.
Oof.
A hysterical patron, played by Doreen Lang, turns viciously on Melanie, stares straight into the camera, and shrieks, "I think you're the cause! I think you're evil!"
Hitchcock loves those straight-on shots, implicating the audience as well as the characters.
Right? He used it very effectively in Shadow of a Doubt, too, when Uncle Charlie turns to the camera and icily says, "Are they?" in response to young Charlie's defense of his rich victims being actual human beings.
So, yeah, Melanie backhands her. The diner patron, that is. Not young Charlie. That would be weird.
Right. A bitter reminder that when the chips fall, this town, this society, isn't built on solidarity, but in control and paranoia.
It's scapegoating at its purest. Instead of blaming structures of power, she blames the easiest target.
And even Ethel Griffiths, the ornithologist character, gets in on it. Capitalist science itself tries to wave it away because the attacks don't fit the data profile.
Which shows the real terror. When reality cracks the frame, even expertise collapses into denial as the gas station explodes in a fireball.
Speaking of the gas station, let's talk about that incredible crane shot.
Yes, it centers a single seagull, hovering above the chaos like it's conducting the whole disaster. It's Hitchcock's most telling move.
Truly.
Nature framed as an organized force.
And the last stand is the Brenner home.
Boom.
Boarded windows, hammer and nails, Mitch playing Fortress Commander.
But the birds breach everything. They come down the chimney, punch through the roof, and reduce the house to splinters.
The bourgeois family's last sanctuary becomes their cage. About that ending.
Yeah.
Those last moments stick, don't they?
Oh, yes.
The family comes out of the boarded-up house, and suddenly the whole world is feathers. Thousands of birds everywhere, watching.
And notice, they don't attack. They don't have to. The silence is worse. It's an occupation.
Which makes the car crawl feel like a funeral procession. A slow-motion burial for the bourgeoisie.
Yeah. Boxed in on all sides. Wealth, law, even the house they thought was a fortress. It's all gone.
And then that little moment, Lydia reaching over to hold Melanie.
Yeah.
Looks like tenderness at first, right?
But there's no dialogue and no actual reconciliation. It's not affection, it's desperation.
Exactly. Class under siege will always close ranks, even with people it was ready to cast out 5 minutes earlier.
The tragedy is, it's always too late. You can't board up history with a few nails.
So the car creeps forward, surrounded by the masters of the new order.
Heavy.
Every feather a reminder, the ruling class has nowhere to go.
The revolution doesn't chase them, it just waits.
And knows time is on its side.
Comrades, this is the part where we remind you that Marxist podcasts don't run on birdseed or even trampled boardwalk popcorn.
Vivid.
They run on solidarity.
You can find us at patreon.com/cinemarchmedia and also at cinemarchmedia.com.
For patrons, we've got 2 tiers. $6 gets you early access to articles and news.
And $10 gets you that, plus early audio and bonus content. And of course, both tiers can expect surprise cameos from our comrade in residence, Myron the Cat.
Chair of the Feline Revolutionary Committee.
And frankly, the only one here who could stare down 1,000 cockatoos without blinking.
So if you want to support both our podcasts, including The Marching Revolution and Marxists at the Movies, pitch in.
Or at least send Myron some treats. Either way, the revolution thanks you. People call this a movie about man versus nature.
That may be true, But it's much, much more than that.
Precisely. It's about the dominant class losing its grip.
Because the birds don't stand in for chaos.
Nope.
They stand in for balance, for correction, revolution even.
The feathered proletariat rising up, creatures long caged and ornamental, suddenly swarming with purpose.
And look at how they're gendered in the film.
Right.
Always handled by women and always extensions of femininity.
So when they break free, it's not random violence. It's women's labor and women's anger turned into collective energy.
That's the glass shattering again, right?
Indeed.
Patriarchal order splintering. The bourgeoisie built a world of fragile everything and then acted surprised when history came knocking with wings.
And that's the point. The uprising doesn't come from nowhere. It's been there all along, waiting for its moment.
Which brings us to the question we always ask. What does this film earn in revolutionary currency?
Our hammer and sickle rating?
3.5 out of 5.
Because as allegory, The Birds works. It's layered, unsettling, and full of openings for radical interpretation.
But some of that sharpness comes from us reading against the grain, not from Hitchcock himself. He was more obsessed with control than with clarity.
And his obsession came at a brutal cost to Tippi Hedren.
Because when she tried to flutter away, he locked her down. He had her under contract, refused to release her, and basically sidelined her career after The Birds and Marnie.
And here's the real punch in the man pearls. According to the actress, she was punished for turning down Hitchcock's advances.
Ew, really?
Yes, really. She told Vanity Fair in 2016, quote, "He suddenly grabbed me and put his hands on me. It was sexual, it was perverse, and it was ugly, and I couldn't have been more shocked or repulsed."
Yikes!
Yikes is right. She kept acting here and there, but the momentum was gone.
Jesus.
Instead, she poured her energy into animal activism, eventually founding the Shambhala Preserve for rescued big cats.
Big cats. That can't be coincidence after this film.
Quite right. After being tormented by birds on set, she turns around and builds a sanctuary for lions and tigers. And bears. Oh my, I know. It's like she said, if I'm going to spend my life around dangerous animals, at least let them be honest about it.
So the story isn't just that of Hitchcock ruining one performance. It's him derailing an entire career out of spite.
No masterpiece justifies cruelty masquerading as genius.
No way.
Which is why we deducted half a point in solidarity with Tippi.
Hitchcock really was one sick f***.
And yet, we keep coming back to that final shot. The one that froze us as a kid and then rattled us again in high school.
Agreed.
The one we see now through a Marxist lens.
That silence at the end was never emptiness.
What was it?
It was history, perched and waiting.
Revolutions don't end with triumph or even closure. They end in silence. The breath before the next crack.
What did we learn today?
That Hitchcock wasn't just the master of suspense, he was also the master of OSHA violations.
That bringing lovebirds to flirt with a guy is the worst dating strategy since negging. Male loneliness epidemic? Our fat ass.
That if your house is made of glass, don't throw parties or stones, and definitely don't invite the crows from next door.
And that sometimes the revolution looks less like a manifesto and more like 1,000 wings beating against your window.
But the deeper takeaway? The Birds isn't just about man versus nature. It's about the ruling class discovering their fortresses are just cages with better wallpaper.
And before we go, a nod to Myron the cat, our resident expert in treats and pets procurement,
Myron,
who assures us the pigeons are this close to unionizing.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, The Birds, Nature's Revolt. If you want more, you know where to find us. Patreon.com/Cinemarchmedia and Cinemarchmedia.com.
Also, follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
And remember, When the silence falls and the wings gather, history is already perched outside your window.
This is Marxists at the Movies.
Bye.
Scene opens, white lights dim down low.
Thank you for listening to the Marxists at the Movies podcast.
Cinema whispers
Don't
where
forget to like
truth
and
can
comment.
grow. From shadows deep and screens ignite, the proletariat comes alive tonight. Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name. Popcorn power and the working class dream. Each flickers with a revolutionary beam. The heroes rise from the factory floor, challenging the scripts and demanding more. Behind the velvet curtains lies the fight. Directors of destiny taking the light. The dialogue chimes with justice in stride. The proletarian walks where stars collide. Marxists at the movies, bright and raw, breaking through the reels to rewrite the law. Workers of the world in every frame, changing the credits, rewriting the name. Blockbusters topple in an epic
Copyright
embrace.
2025, Cinemarch Media.